Okay, so today I'm gonna show you guys how I would draw a Spider-Man, the Spider-Man from Marvel Comics, and all the webbing, just with his mask. I'm gonna start off with a light blue color for the initial sketch, and then we're just gonna call this like a sketch. This is a sketch. I'm using Photoshop, but you can follow along and use regular pencil and paper. We'll zoom in a little bit. So the first thing I'll do is we're not going to draw the whole body. We're just going to draw just the head. Okay. So first thing I'll sketch is the circle of the head. Let me make my pencil tip a little bit smaller. It's a little bit too big. So I'll start off with the head, a little circle like this, and I'll sketch very, very lightly. Go in there and make this a little bit larger. After I sketch the top part of the head, the round part, I'll sketch the side of the bottom of the face. Okay, so we have, this is the side of the face. This is going to be the jaw. Usually if I'm drawing a human head, the ear is over here. And then I'm just going to erase this line. That line was just for the circle. Okay. So you can go here and kind of add more lines, make the head a little bit rounder. And then now I'm going to add the neck. Usually the neck is right near the ear area, right over here. Here's the neck. And then we have part of the neck here. And then we have a little bit of the body. So this is just the top part of the head. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start and find out where the eyes are. So I'm going to sketch a line here for the front of the face. And then this plus here usually helps me dictate the direction that the head is looking at. For example, if I was drawing a head going this way, that means it's looking forward. If I have a head that has this line going this way, that means it's looking upwards. If I had a line that goes this way and this arch go this way, is looking downwards. So we're going to have this Spider-Man head facing this way. And with Spider-Man, he just has like these big eyes, like these big patches of eyes. So I'm just going to quickly sketch that oval shape like this first. And when you're doing this, just think of sketching an oval, like the partial oval, and this is like a triangle over here. So I'm just going to sketch a partial triangle up here, and then on the bottom, like an oval. Everyone can do theirs in a different size. Some artists, I'm going to erase my lines and explain, different artists will draw things differently. Some artists will draw the Spider-Man's eyes smaller, like that. Okay, some artists will draw Spider-Man's eyes really big, like that. You can choose whichever you like. I'm just going to go and make it this size. Okay. So we have that right over there. Okay. And then I'm going to add some more, some of the neck shadows and muscles over here. You can add that. And then here's the collarbone, just to get that out of the way. And here's some of the shoulders. Okay. Shoulder, and here's some of the chest. So now that we have a quick sketch of this, I'm going to create a new layer. Before I create a new layer, I'm just going to go and make this a little bit lighter. Okay. So if you're drawing too hard, just get a pencil and erase it and make it lighter. I'm going to grab the piece of paper so we don't see all those white, that checkerboard pattern in the back. Okay, so on Photoshop, we have to put this here and then just drop that in there. Okay, now it's white. Okay, so just reduce the opacity in Photoshop, or just use a pencil and erase a little bit. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to tighten up a little bit. When I tighten up the sketch of a figure, I think about the form of the face, the chin, the eyes, ears, and every little dents and bulges and bumps that a face would have. We're going to use a red color. Actually, let's use a purple color. Let's use red. Okay, so with my pencil here, let's see, let me lock this layer and create a new layer. See, T-I-G-H-T, tighten, sketch. Okay, so tighten sketch. Usually when you're drawing eye, if you see me on the screen, if I turn my head this way, you'll see that there's a dent on my eye. not only is there a dent on my eye, my face comes out more. And as it goes towards the mouth, it goes into the mouth. And then right here, the chin, it comes back out. So knowing that, we're going to sketch that circle. And then here's the eye. We're going to have that go in a little bit, come back out. And then we're going to have this face go over here. And then as I go towards the chin, you can look at like a mirror, for example, or look at someone and then have them turn the face and just see the basic shapes. And then the bottom of the chin here. And then the jaw, here's the jaw right over here. So I'm just going to place that jaw right over here. And then we'll have that come here. So right now, when I'm tightening up the sketch, I'm creating the form a little bit better. I'm using my initial sketch, this one here, as a roadmap of where I want to draw my lines. Sketch. Okay, I'm going to make the head a little bit nicer, more rounded. And then we're going to have this part come around over here. And then the ear, we don't really need to draw Spider-Man's ear because it's underneath his mask. But we do need to draw the back of the neck right over here. And then we're going to have the collar bone, and then we have the little bit of his arm. Okay, and then we have the front of the neck. And usually people's neck, they're right here, they have like almost like a V over here. So I'm just going to create that V over here. There's muscles underneath the neck. So there's that muscle in here. And then we have the other side collar there. And then I'm just going to add that chest. And I'm just going to tighten it up a little bit. Now, I'm going to start putting patterns onto Spider-Man's head. Like on Spider-Man's head, think about it a little, think that 10 does a little circle there. Place that circle there. Your circle can be long, your circle can be small. I'm just gonna go and place maybe an oval, right, in the center of the eyes. And I'm gonna use like a larger pencil. I'm just gonna block out the outside of Spider-Man's eyes, like this, okay? And then we have this side. We're gonna make it a little bit more curved, like this. And then you notice that I'm still sketching. I'm adding a lot of lines, but this time I'm using a larger pencil tip, or I'm using the side of my pencil. Okay. Okay. So just sketch out a little bit more. Contour some of the face as much as you want. If you don't like it, just shape it out, like erase it a little bit. Erase some lines that you don't need, or redraw it. Okay. And then I'm going to go and draw the webbing lines. The webbing lines that I'm sketching right now doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to contour around the head. Okay. So we have that part going here. We have this part go here. Draw very lightly. Again, draw very lightly. I'm going to have this line maybe in between the mouth, like that. And then in here, we have this line goes here. And very important, contour around the face. Don't just draw straight lines. No one's head is flat. Think about the shape of the face and then kind of sketch it in. Okay. See, as I go up here, I'm going to curve this way, and then curve this way. You can add as many as you want or as little of these lines as you want. Like that. Okay, and we're gonna add some lines on the side of his neck, like this. These are the spider webbing. Okay, now let me go back and explain a little bit over here. Now, these lines that are on the neck area, they should be closer, but as they go towards the shoulder, they start getting wider. They're spaced apart more. That is because on the clothing, it gets closer to the viewer, and then the neck is smaller. So those lines over here is a little bit more narrow as is here, but as it goes out here, it starts to open up a little bit, almost like if you're painting a river, and then river is kind of like going towards the viewer. Okay, we have this. Make this a little bit wider. Let me redraw that wider here, and then here, and then we're going to continue adding those lines. Okay, contour around the body. There we go. Now I'm going to remove my Titan sketch. So we have a rough sketch of how Spider-Man is going to look. Now I'm going to start drawing on top of it. Now, and when I'm going to draw on top of it, I'm going to reduce this, make it a little bit lighter, and then I'm going to draw with a black. Okay, I'm going to lock this layer, and then Control Shift New for the drawing. Okay, and then I'm going to grab black. Now, I'm going to also talk about exterior lines and interior lines. If I was drawing, before we move on to Spider-Man, I'm going to explain something called the holding line. Holding line is the outside of an object. For example, if I'm drawing a box like this, and then the inside of the box, I want the outside lines, which are these lines, a little bit thicker. Okay. And then the inside lines a little bit thinner. This way, it helps solidify the character as one object. For example, if I was drawing let's see a cylinder here. Let's draw that cylinder again. We have this cylinder like this, and then on the inside, I'll make that thinner. Okay, just like if I was drawing a box, I'm going to make the outside of the box thicker, and then on the inside of the box, I'll make that thinner. Okay, this helps separate objects. So now when I'm going to draw Spider-Man's face, the holding line, I'm just going to make the outside line a little bit thicker. Okay, so you can press down harder with your pencil. And I'm going to go and start drawing the side of the face. Okay, and then we're going to have this side of the face. And then we redraw that a little bit nicer. There we go. And then here at the top of the head, we're going to draw that curve. Try to get the line as smooth as you can. We don't want lines like kind of bumpy. We already did that during the sketching and the tiny sketch. When we're drawing our final artwork on top of our sketch, we want our lines to be nice and clean. Okay, now I'm going to draw the side, the back of the neck. First, we'll do all the outside holding lines first. We have the neck. And then we have the other side of the shoulder. I'm going to use my pressure brush because the brush I was using was just a flat brush. Okay, so now I can control like the line thickness. Okay, so for this collar, we'll go here like that. Okay, now I'm going to draw the eye part, and then we're going to work on some of the curves here. Let me go and adjust my smoothing. Draw that line here. You can fill in the lines. And then we have a little bit that goes up this way. And then we have this side. Fill it in. Okay. And Spider-Man's eye right in front, there's a little bit of a sharp point like that. Okay, same for the other side. I'm going to add that little bit of a sharp point. And then now I'm going to draw this side. Okay, and then the inside. And then I'm just going to fill it in. And then now the bottom of the eye. Follow your sketch. Try to make that as smooth as you can. Sometimes what I like to do is I like to rotate my paper with my right hand, with my left hand, and then I can draw that line a little bit smoother using my my hand almost like a compass. Like I can draw that arc a little bit better. So I'm going to draw that line, and then I'll rotate the paper with my left hand, and then I'll go ahead and I'll draw this line, and then I'll continue and rotate and build on top of that. Okay. So I'm going to go here and kind of darken up those. Fill this in. Okay. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit more black on top. I'm just going to make the eyes a little bit thicker. Just like when we're drawing eyes, we want the top of the eyelid a little bit thicker. And then I want to make the bottom here a little bit more on this side, thicker. Okay. And make sure both sides are somewhat symmetrical. Not symmetrical, but both sides the same thickness. Okay. Now we have all of that done. We're going to draw the webbing. The webbing, we're going to use a finer pencil, a little bit sharper. And we're going to draw these lines first. Again, draw them as nice and clean as you can. Draw them nice and smooth. I'm going to draw this one. Start here. And we'll draw that again. Okay, I'm going to go from here to here. And then on this side, follow the arch. Draw the curves. On the bottom, we're going to stay outside of that circle. I'm going to draw this line. I'm going to make that smoother. We draw that here, 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 like that. Okay, now after we draw all those lines, what we want to do is on the center of Spider-Man's head, we want to draw the webbing here, kind of like stretching outwards like this. Okay. And then I'm going to go erase some of these lines. And then right here, draw those webbing, kind of stretch outwards. This. So imagine if you had a circle here, and then you have these lines, the webbing is going to go this direction. You have all these lines. You're just going to draw these little bumps like that. That's the center of in between Spider-Man's eyes. Okay. Now I'm also going to draw some of the webbing on the rest of the body. So we have this line. Try to draw them smooth. The faster you draw that line, the smoother that line will be. Now, when you're drawing over your sketch lines and you're drawing over your Titan sketch, you don't have to trace your lines exactly the way it looks. Just draw it. What you want to do is have your lines to look nice and smooth. Add this one, and then maybe another one over there. Okay. Now, here's the fun part. This is the part that a lot of people will think that it's kind of hard. This isn't the hard part. When we're drawing the webbing, what we're going to do is on each one, we're going to draw very closely. Follow this. Think of this as a center point, and then every time you draw the webbing, this needs to stretch towards that. So if you're drawing Spider-Man's webbing, it's not this way because Spider-Man isn't like smiling or anything. You want him to be kind of stretching out this way. So you have that line, and then at the further down you draw those lines, the further apart they are. Okay, like this. Okay, so we're gonna add the other strips. So make sure you're connecting right over here. You want to start here and go around. Okay, you're gonna go here and do the same thing. So right here, we're going to add this part, go here, this part there. You're going to continue adding that. Follow the shape of the head. These ones gets a little bit wider. Let me go back. Now right here, follow the corner web. You don't want your webbing to be like this. All of a sudden, the one next to it is starting over here. It has to connect to this one. Okay, so this one goes around here. This one goes here. And then you notice that the outside webbing towards the outer jaw and the head is going to be further apart. The closer it is in the center, the closer they are together. I'm going to draw that. I'm going to zoom in closer so everyone can see. They're closer here. As you add more webbing, they get further apart. They connect on the line, like a real spider's web, like this. So if you were say there's a corner of a house, and then you have the spider web over here. Pretend there's a spider like crawling down or something. Okay, you have these lines like that. These webbing goes this direction. Okay, they're following this direction. The closer it is towards the center, um, the more the less space it is in between. Okay, so I'm going to continue drawing the rest of the webbing over here. I'm going to start from out here. So we have this line, we have this one goes here. Further apart, we're going to have this one connect here, here, and then we're going to have this one go here. Okay, I'm going to start from the top, space it further out, connect, connect, arch inwards towards the center of the head. That I'm going to go a little bit higher, further apart. Okay, move this out of the way. Go here, 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 and then connect there. And then we need another section. I'm gonna erase this one. I'm gonna erase this one and draw that a little bit closer. We draw this one here. Oops. Let me make my pencil a little bit darker. I'm gonna have this one go here towards the center. Okay. You want to make the spacing between the area here kind of the same. Do that again here, and then here. And then maybe I'm just going to add a little bit on the outside towards the back. Okay. So now we have the head. I'm going to move on and draw the webbing around the neck. I'm going to start in the middle first. So in the middle, I'm going to have them go this way. And then you're thinking about the cylinder. So if you had a cylinder, here's your cylinder. You want to curve around the cylinder neatly. Okay. You don't want to curve the webbing going this direction. You want to go around. Okay, so we have the webbing. And again, you think about where the center of Spider-Man's head is, and the webbing stretches towards the center. So I'm going to go here, and then go around the head, the neck, and then we have this part goes here. Connect one at a time. Okay, I'm going to go up over here. Same thing. I'm going to add another row right over here. And then as you go further down, those lines will be spaced apart more. Just like the head over here, the boxes over here are bigger than the little rectangles over here. Okay, so I'm going to go here, and then as I go further down, we're going to make it a little bit larger. Actually, I don't like the way this one looks. I'm going to go a little bit higher. Let me erase that. Go a little bit higher. There. Okay. Redraw the lines, and then here. And then stretch inside towards the head, and then on this side, just draw one loop at a time. There. And then we'll draw a few more, this time further apart. Okay, and then on this side. And this side. We're also going to draw Spider-Man's logo right over here. So Spider-Man's logo is just a little circle over here. And then on the bottom, we have another oval. So a circle and oval. And then we have the legs, two legs pointing towards the top. We have almost like a triangle that way. You have a triangle that goes this way. And then you have the same thing, but you draw it wider on this side. And then the same thing for the bottom. Make sure it's coming out from the body. So we have the outside and the inside. Okay. So here is Spider-Man's head, but we're not done yet. We're going to give the Spider-Man's head a little bit more detail. So there's that. Right now, it just looks like a flat drawing. It doesn't have any stuff that looks like it's in the front or in the back. Say so. I'm gonna start using my pencil, and then I'm going to add some shadows to certain areas. Okay, so we had that neck muscle. Where's that neck muscle that we sketched in? Let me open up this again. Okay, so my neck muscle. Okay, there it is. Okay, so I'm gonna use the black pencil. Let me draw that neck muscle line. Okay, same with over here, and then same on this side. Okay, the collarbone over here, and then same with this side. Okay, the shoulder would add some form to the shoulder. Okay, some of the neck area. Here's this separates the arm. This separates this arm. Okay, let me get rid of those. Now I'm going to start adding some shadows on the bottom of the neck. Once I know we drew some in there, but once we add shadows, it's going to put the head a little bit forward. So what I'm going to do with the shadow is I'm going to do something called the hatch lines. Hatch lines when you're drawing lines that are parallel to each other. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there and draw lines that's very close first. And then as I go into the light source, I'll get lighter. I'll draw those lines lighter. So right here, I'm going to add a shadow here. Just fill this in black. And then as I go out, I'm going to start hatching that line to give it a little bit of a gray area. Okay, like that. Okay, I'm going to add a little bit of shadows on this side of the neck to show the form of the muscle. Okay, I'm going to also add a little bit of hatch lines like this on the back of the neck. Okay. Towards the jaw area, I'm also going to add some hatch lines like this. Okay. Now everyone's face over here, they have the cheek there, and usually there's like the bone structure. So the bone structure there's a bottom of the face there, like the face. So I'm going to add a little bit of hatch lines over here on the side of the face. The roundness of the head, I want to show that there is a front part of the head and then the top of the head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some hatch lines right across this head over here. So what I'm going to do is add hatch lines all around over there. Okay, so right on top of the webbing, I'll just add hatch lines, space them evenly as best as you can. There. So now we see this is the front of the face. Okay, and this is going to be the side of the face. Side of the face, I'll add a little bit of hatch lines there. Okay, I'm going to make it look like there's a nose underneath that mask. Right now, all of this looks flat. To make that that mask look like it's sticking out a little bit, I'll add some hatch lines underneath here. And then maybe some hatch lines towards the mouth area. Yeah, but that's actually underneath the chin, underneath the lip area. Okay, I'm going to make Spider-Man look like he's frowning a little bit inside his mask. So a little bit of lines here. Let me add a little bit of hatch lines around the back of the head to create more form. Okay, I'm going to add some shadows towards the neck area. And add some hatch lines over here. Okay, we're just going to continue adding hatch lines on all the form area. So like the collarbone, I'm going to add a little bit of lines to give more detail to the work. So like this, add a little bit of hatch lines and hatch lines like that. Okay, little Spider-Man is gonna go, and here's his arm. Yeah, and then this part of his chest area. So we add some hatch lines over here. I'm going to add more webbing. So we have this part. This part goes down to here. And more webbing here. Okay. Okay. And then the rest is thinking about where the light source is and where the shadow is. I'm going to go and make some lines a little bit thicker. So right here, I'm going to make this line a little bit thicker. I'm thinking the light source is coming from up this direction. I'm going to make this shoulder here a little bit thicker. Okay, the side of the face over here a little bit thicker. I'm going to round it off a little bit. Okay, this side a little bit thicker. Okay, the jaw a little bit thicker over here. I'm going to adjust the jaw a little bit. I'm going to curve the jaw. Oh, not that much. Maybe this much. Okay, and then some thick lines here. Yeah, and there's Spider-Man. I know Spider-Man has like a blue part in the center. So if you know this part, that's how his outfit looks. We'll skip that. Okay, we'll just draw maybe a few more lines for over here. Okay, let me see what time it is. Okay, we have time. I'm also gonna start coloring it to show you how I will go about coloring this on Photoshop. You can use color pencils, you can use watercolor markers. If you drew it on watercolor paper, you can also color on paper. So for how I'm going to do this, let me get back out of this screen. Okay, so that's the drawing. The drawing is done. I'm going to start, actually, let me add a little bit more detail here. Okay, I'm going to start coloring this one. So here, Control Shift N, I'm going to call this color here. So I'm drawing this on Photoshop. I want my colors to be on the bottom. Now, let me explain why I want that to be on the bottom. Those of you who are wanting to learn how to do this in Photoshop, I'm going to get red. Watch what happens when I paint red on top. If I paint red on top, it covers my drawing. What I want is this one to be on the bottom. That way, the colors will be on the bottom of the line drawing. Okay, so Spider-Man is like a light red. We're going to grab a really light red. Let me grab maybe that red. I don't want the red to be too strong. And then I'm going to use my brush. Now, and then I'm just going to color, make sure this one's on the bottom layer. Then you pick a red that's a little bit redder. And I'm just going to color everything one color first. I'll stay inside the line. Actually, coloring this will be easy. Everything right now is just the red. There's no blue because I didn't draw the blue part of the Spider-Man's outfit. So I'm gonna paint this in red first, and then talk about shadows, light and shadows. Which part needs to be more red, and which part needs to be a little bit lighter in red. Just fill all this in. Okay, so that's all red. Okay, now that we have red, we know where the light source is coming from. Light source is coming from the top right. So we're going to darken up some of the other areas to be a little bit darker red. So I'm going to use the same color, just pick a little bit darker shade. If you're using red, add a little bit of blue in there if you like. And right here, I'm going to add a little bit of darker red underneath here, underneath the neck. Maybe in between the front of the face, add a little bit of a darker red. Like this. On the chest area. I'm going to make it even darker. It's not dark enough. I'm going to make it a little bit darker. And then right on the front of the face, make this a little bit darker. Some of the muscles on the neck. Okay, some of these muscle lines, just go in there and add a little bit more form, like I'm painting directly on top of the muscles. Okay, in between the chest area. This part, because there's no light going this way, I'm going to add this, make this shoulder a little bit darker. The shadow underneath here, just darken that up. You can go in there and smudge if you like. I'll go in here and smudge a little bit to blend the colors a little bit better. Okay, parts that came out, just erase it. Grab my smudger and soften up some of those harsh lines. Okay, now the back of Spider-Man's head right over here, this area, I'm going to make it a little bit lighter. So we have this red that we originally used. I'm going to go and let's use yellow, just so it's not like a light red, just so it's different. Okay, we have yellow. I'm going to add some yellow towards the back of the head, right over here. Back of the neck. On the shoulder here, especially on this part of the shoulder, up here on the near the collar. We add a little bit on the side of the face here, and then some on this side. And on the back, a little bit on this shoulder, and then on this shoulder. Okay, and maybe add a little bit more towards the top of the head. Just add some yellows. Okay, and then some of the forms of the muscles. Just add a little bit. So there's depth to the artwork. Now I'm going to go in there and start blending the colors. I just use my smudger to smudge. I don't want my smudger I don't want to press too hard. Otherwise it looks kind of fuzzy. What I want to do is I want that yellow to be a little bit softer. Okay, right here. Blend that, blend this bit, blend this bit. Like that. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of blue inside his eyes. So it's not just like white. So I'm going to grab maybe a little bit, very little bit of a light blue. Maybe a light blue like that. And then I'm going to paint that little bit of blue on maybe on this side. And then on this side. Same for the other side. Okay, and then I'm going to get the smudger and I'm going to soften it a little bit so it's not completely white. Okay, that looks okay with me. Okay, now I'm going to grab a little bit of white paint to make some of the areas like really bright. Let me grab white. Let me add some white over here, make it really bright in color. Just a little bit of highlight on his suit. And then I'll blend it in again. Okay, and then I'll grab my smudger and soften up that a little bit. Have that blend into the yellow. So just painting. Okay, and then I'm gonna finish it with a little bit of a blue background. So let me delete all the stuff that I have that I drew over here just to get rid of those. Delete all of this. Go to my add selection, go here, go to my drawing here, unlock it, and I'll press the delete button, delete that. Now I'm gonna paint the background. Let's see. So I'm gonna use a light blue for the front, maybe this blue. Okay, and then I'm gonna have a gradual fade from dark blue on the top, and then it gradually becomes like a light, like white on the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to select, going to use my, just going to select all of this side to be painted like that. And then I'm going to remove, I'm going to draw around the areas to not paint. So what this area that I'm circling will be areas that I'm not going to be painting. I'm just going to paint the background. Okay, I'm just going to remove this, remove all of this. It's easier if you're just painting on a regular piece of paper, or if you're coloring on a paper. This step that I'm doing on a computer is like an extra step it just takes a little bit longer. But if I'm doing just traditionally by hand, it's faster that I just paint on top of it. What I'm doing is I'm telling the computer that I want to paint on the outside of Spider-Man, and I don't want any of the paint to go on the inside of his body like this. Okay, so I'm going to go in, make sure my dotted lines are inside. Okay, it looks like it's inside. Okay, select this one, remove that. Okay, I'm going to add this one because it went outside. Okay, I'm going to create a new layer. Okay. Color, lock this, drawing, lock this, Control Shift N, call this background. Background. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to start painting with the brush. I'm going to paint the top part really blue, and it gradually fades to white. So we have white on the bottom. We have blue. Let me pick a nicer blue. I like this blue. And then I'm going to, with the magic of the computer, I just draw a color like this. Okay. Oh, I don't want that. I'm going to bring this towards the background. There. So that's how I would draw Spider-Man from. So let me show you all the steps, all the steps that I've done to draw this piece over here. From sketching it, let me go here. So the first thing I did in creating this piece was I sketched it first, just so I know how the form looks. After I'm done with the sketch, I would go in here and tighten up the sketch, draw some lines so I know what direction those lines will be going. After I drew all that, I would go in there and I would do the drawing on top of it. Okay, so if we look at some of the lines, you'll see that I'm following my lines, but I'm not tracing it. I'm just following the lines as a guide to where I'm drawing it. I erase all my sketches and tighten sketch, and then I'll add color on top of it. Adding color, I'll think about light source, which side is darker, which side is lighter. And then after that, I'll just add a background color, and that's the background color. So I hope you enjoy today's lesson on how I drew Spider-Man. If you have any questions, let me know.